All right, let's just jump right in today. No lengthy introductions, no boring agendas. We're diving straight into an absolutely fascinating allegory. A story that gets right to the literal core of human psychology, specifically how we handle life's anxieties, those overwhelming pressures, and our somewhat desperate need for control. So if you've ever felt completely exhausted, just carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, or if you're just curious about the ancient philosophy of navigating life with actual peace of mind, well, this explainer is going to be incredibly relevant for you.
So I want you to start by visualizing a scenario for me. Picture two travelers. They're stepping out onto the exact same path, heading into this vast, absolutely unforgiving desert. They're facing the exact same blistering heat, the same agonizing thirst, and the exact same hidden dangers lurking behind the sand dunes, right? From the outside, their situations are totally identical. And yet, despite being on the exact same journey, they experience entirely different realities. One of them walks with total confidence and peace, while the other is just paralyzed by fear and hardship. How does that happen? Why do two people, given the exact same circumstances, face completely different outcomes? Well, that brings us to Section 1, Two Different Desert Travelers, specifically looking at the allegory from the first word. Now, to really understand this, we turn to this profound allegory that paints a vivid picture of these travelers right from the starting line. On the left side, we've got the humble traveler. He understands the brutal reality of the desert. He knows perfectly well there's no way he can survive it alone. So what does he do? He takes the name of a powerful tribal chief. By doing this, he essentially aligns himself with that leader. Bam. He instantly gains his overarching protection and the respect of anyone who knows the chief. But then, on the flip side, we have the arrogant traveler. This guy stubbornly refuses to take a name. He rejects any association, any help, any higher authority whatsoever. He relies purely on his own physical power and cunning. He trusts literally no one but himself to get through this wasteland. Let's see what actually happens to that arrogant traveler once the journey begins. Because he's trying to carry the weight of his survival entirely alone, his reality quickly turns into a waking nightmare. He's constantly looking over his shoulder, perpetually terrified of thieves, wild animals, the harsh elements. He rapidly realizes he's completely unable to even meet his own basic needs for food and water in such a barren place. And honestly, the ultimate irony? By refusing to align with one powerful chief, his own weakness forces him to constantly beg, panic, and basically bow down to every minor threat or hostile person he meets just to survive. It's this exhausting, anxiety-ridden, humiliating existence, born entirely from his own arrogance. But then we look back at the humble traveler. When highwaymen emerge from the dunes to stop him, he doesn't draw a sword in a panic. He just calmly states, "I travel in the name of this chief." And guess what? They let him pass. When he's tired, hungry, thirsty, he enters the tents of absolute strangers, and instead of hostility or suspicion, he is met with a warm welcome. His needs are met. Why? Because of that powerful connection. He doesn't have to fight every single battle himself. He simply invokes the name of his protector, and the doors of the desert just open up for him. He travels in peace. All right, moving on to Section 2. What does the desert actually mean? Let's decode this metaphor. Because obviously, this isn't just a fairy tale about sand and nomads, right? It's a really deep philosophical framework. It's a direct map of our worldly existence. Let's walk through it together. The desert in the story, that represents worldly life itself. It's beautiful, sure, full of wonder, but also full of totally unpredictable challenges, sudden storms, harsh realities. The traveler? Well, that's you and me, the human being just trying to navigate this complex life. And taking the chief's name, that represents acting with God's name, his permission, and relying on his ultimate support. The allegory is literally showing us the underlying mechanics of our relationship with the divine as we walk through the trials of the world. Which takes us to Section 3, Arrogance or Reliance, the core conflict. And this brings us to the ultimate battle fought within human psychology every single day. The exhausting desire to try and control absolutely everything around us, versus the profound, liberating wisdom of learning how to trust. The crucial point here is understanding what true reliance actually means. In the source material, this exact journey, this tension between arrogance and reliance, is explored deeply, and the concept of reliance is called tevekol. Now, a lot of times, people mistake humility or reliance for weakness. They think it means just giving up, being completely passive, doing nothing, or considering yourself worthless. But that is completely wrong. True tevekol is about supreme self-awareness. It's knowing the exact limits of your own human power while simultaneously understanding the immense value of turning to an infinite power and mercy. It is not about being useless. It's about being incredibly realistic about what you as a human being can actually carry. Conversely, we have that arrogant mindset, or kibir, which is perfectly summed up by the phrase, I am enough on my own. I mean, we hear variations of this all the time today, don't we? We're constantly told to be completely self-made, totally independent, to be an island. But this specific illusion of absolute independence, that is exactly what breeds our modern epidemic of anxiety. When you declare that you are solely responsible for every outcome, every success, and every defense in your life, you are placing a crushing, literally mathematically impossible weight onto your own shoulders. Just consider the absolute limits of human control for a second. No matter how wealthy, how incredibly smart, or how meticulously prepared you are, you simply cannot completely control the future. You can't stop sickness from entering your body or your home. You cannot conquer all the random chaotic fears of life alone. The great paradox here is that the more we try to play God, the more we try to forcefully control every single variable in our environment, the more we end up trembling in the face of the things we just cannot dictate. Arrogance doesn't make you strong. It makes you incredibly fragile and, honestly, permanently anxious. So, let's get into section 4, escaping anxiety, the true secret. I want to pause for a second and bring this right into your living room, or your office, or wherever you're watching this explainer right now. I want you to think about a specific issue that is deeply worrying you today. Maybe it's a financial stress, a health issue with a family member, maybe a major career move. You got it in your mind? Okay, let's apply this philosophy. Here are the actual, actionable steps to practicing tawakkul. Step 1, determine the part of the problem you actually need to work on. Like, what is your literal, actionable responsibility? Step 2, do everything in your power. Study for the test, see the doctor, put in the long hours, do the research. You do not get to be lazy here. But then comes the magic of step 3. Accept that you cannot control the final outcome and consciously leave that ultimate result to God. True reliance means fulfilling your responsibilities completely and aggressively, but having the profound wisdom to refuse to play God with the final result. And that leads us to the ultimate, most empowering takeaway of our explainer today. True power is not walking out into the vast desert of life, puffing up your chest, and claiming you need nothing and no one. That's just foolish pride, and honestly, it will break you. True power is knowing your limits, doing your absolute best within those limits, and knowing exactly who to rely on for everything else. It's the ultimate philosophical cure for the crushing burden of modern anxiety. You don't have to carry the whole world. You just have to carry your part of it. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final provocative question lingering on the screen. Look closely at your own life. Look at how you handle stress, how you approach your career, how you deal with the unknown. As you walk through the desert of this world, which traveler are you more like? Are you the arrogant traveler, carrying this crushing, terrifying load all by yourself, trembling at every shadow? Or have you learned the peace, the strength, and the absolute freedom that comes with true reliance? Think about it. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this incredible source material today, and I will see you next time.